Barakatayah, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakah, Kodash, Tawada, Amen. Double honors to the elders of GMS, Elder Gabar, Elder Rakah, Elder Ramlab, Elder Tahar, and double honors and salutations to all the camps on the highways and byways bringing out the word of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai on the highways and byways, yeah, in truth and spirit. All praise and glory to the Father and Son. So today I'm going to focus again, we're going to talk about the microchip, yeah? The mark of the beast, the RFID chip, yeah? What we know is to be coming, yeah? We've recently put up quite a few videos to do with the destruction, but always remember this, the mark of the beast, the microchip must come before World War III, okay? It must come before World War III, at the beginning of World War III, years before World War III, it will come just before World War III kicks off, because the mark of the beast is going to change the whole monetary system that we use across the globe. It's going to change how you interact with everything you do in your daily life. Just like it says there, while you're probably getting a microchip implant someday, that day is at hand, is nigh. That day is nigh, all right? It's at hand. It's definitely going to come. It's prophesied in scripture. Everything we see, everything I see going on in secular society tells me, informs me that the mark of the beast is on schedule. And when I say on schedule, they're putting all of the bits and pieces of the puzzles in place. So one of the bits of the pieces of the puzzles would be something like this. I was thinking about some of these companies today. You've got this thing that they call globalization. Yeah, they keep selling it to you. You're a global citizen, globalization, and so forth, and this and that. Globalization is about all of the conglomerates, all of the major players, the big companies swallowing up all of the smaller companies to make sure that everything is in place for when the financial system collapses, that they will be the owners of all of the major companies and all of the minor companies as well around the globe, where they can implement this new monetary system, which will be based on the RFID chip, which will be the mark of the beast. So, for instance, Comcast, right? Comcast is a conglomerate, global conglomerate. They say its revenues is about $84 billion, right? $85 billion, right? This is what they're saying the value of this company is, right? Now, if you look at all of the companies that Comcast control, right? So from Xfinity, Sky, NBC, NBC Universal, Comcast Business, Fandango, Universal Pictures, Telemundo, Universal Orlando Resorts, Freewill, MGM Holdings, so that's Metro Goldwyn Mayer, right? DreamWorks Animation, Comcast Spotlight, NBC Sports, Comcast Spectator, NBC Sports Boston, Medico, Cable Enterprise, all right? Comcast Interactive, Golf Now, NBC Sports Bay Area, Focus Feature, Universal Television, Comcast Ventures, Universal Pictures, Home Entertainment, Comcast Technology Solutions, right? NBC Sports Group, Comcast Interactive, Plaxo, iControl, Working, Digital Films, National Cable Communications, Comcast Foundations, Comcast Holdings, Ovations Food Services, yeah, Comcast Cable Communications, Stingfly International Media, Visible World, Genicast Ventures, Carnival Productions, Comcast Phones for Virginia, Related Contents, Guideworks, right? G4 Media, TV Works. Right? That's just one company, right? So I want you to understand, they're swallowing up every single outlet of media, of news, of film industry, everything to pump out the mark of the beast. So first, they're going to get you visually, mentally prepared for it by showing you, and we keep saying the only reason why they make movies to do with people being chip implanted, all these different futuristic films, these apocalyptic films, films to do with the breakdown of society and so forth, is because they are preparing to do it. So they're pushing these things out to you, so that when they push out the system that's going to replace the current monetary financial systems, which will be your RFID chip, which will be the mark of the beast, they are mentally preparing the people to accept these things. So that's just Comcast. AT&T, right? Another major conglomerate, right? This is what they own. DirecTV, AT&T Mobility, Cricket Wireless, DirecTV Now, Warner Media, ANTT Intellectual, ANTT Prepaid, ANTT Mexico, APP Nexus, ANTT Corporation, Cellular One, Southern Western Bell, A&T Labs, Bell South Telecommunications, Pacific Bell, AT&T Teleholdings, Illinois Bell, New Singular Wireless, Wisconsin Bell, Indiana Bell, Verino, Leap Wireless, AT&T, Southern New England, SBC, Distance Telecommunications, America, Ohio Bell, Nevada Bell, AT&T International, SBC Global, Quick Play, Sterling Comments, AT&T. Oh man, this is just going to go on forever, isn't it? AT&T, Southern Western Bell, Direct TV, Ingenuity, and so forth, right? 21st Century Fox, another major player, Fox News, 20th Century Fox, Fox Entertainment Group, Fox Broadcasting Group, FX, Fox Networks Group, Fox Sports, Fox Searchlight, Fox Star Studios, right? Yes Network, Star India, Fox Sports Networks, Fox Next, Sky Italia, Filmware International, True Media, Blue Sky Studios, Yardbarker, Sky UK, FX Movie Channel, My Network TV, 20th Century Fox, Fox Studios Australia, Fox Musics, Fox 21 Television Studios, United Entertainment Group, Edmonton Shine North America, Fox Stations, Times Ledgers, Kudos, Mondo Fox, National Geographic, Fox Sports Media, Star Group, 21st Century Fox America, Family Productions, Network Private, Fox Telecommunications, Fox Cables, Learning Corporations, Fox UK Productions, NGC Networks, Fox Sports Japan, 20th Century Fox Home Entertainment, Star, US Holdings, NGC Networks, Fox Channels Columbia, NGC Europe, News Germany Holdings, Fox Cable, Amazon. Look, I don't even want to read it. I just want to show you. Look, these are all the different companies that they own. So all the big players are getting ready. All of them, they're getting ready. They're buying up every single thing. And what you must understand is that they also own they buy out the telecommunications, the network companies and so forth in foreign countries as well to take control of those, right? The banking systems. Google is the same. Google is owned by Apple, Alphabet Incorporated, right? That's who owns Google, right? That's the parent company, right? They own Google, Verily, Waymo, X, DeepMind, Capital G, Caligo, Sidewalks, YouTube TV, as you know, Chronide, DoubleClick, Firebase, Zagat, Dropcom, Google France, Anvento, Adometry, Aqualabs, Makini Power, Crystal Computings, Agua, Google Fiber, Google Environment, CWIS Incorporate, Bufferbox, Stackdriver, Jigsaw. Oh man, I don't even want to keep going through. ITA Software, they're taking up everything. These are all of the companies that they own. They're all doing it. Facebook are at it as well. With all the companies that they own, right? As you can see here, from Bloomsbury, Hot Studios, Facebook, Edge Networks, Little Lies. I mean, like I said, we can keep going on and on and on, right, to show you, right? So, Apple is another one, major player, and so forth from that, all right? So, this is what's going on, yeah? Now, when you look at the 10, these are the 10 biggest companies. It says, these are the 10, if you read this, it says breakfast business headlines about Amazon, Apple, Google, and Facebook. It would be easy to conclude that technology giants are the world's biggest companies, right? So these are the 10 biggest companies with the biggest revenue turnover. So Walmart, 500 billion, right? Statgrid, China, 348 billion. Sinopec, China, 326 billion. China National Petroleum, 326 billion. Royal Dutch Shell, 311. Toyota, 265. Volkswagen, 260. BP, 245. Exxon Mobil, 244 billion. That's what their revenues turnover is per year. Berkshire US, 242 billion. And then it says, look, there are no tech names among the top 10 global companies by revenue, according to the Fortune, which has released its Global 500 list, right, July the 19th. Apple, the biggest tech company, came in at 11th, followed by Samsung at 12th. For all of Amazon's size and influence, it's only the 18th largest company, trailing such unglamorous companies as Mackerson, a pharmaceutical wholesaler, and despite its pitch competition with Walmart for retail dominance, Amazon's revenue is less than half that of Bentonville Arkansas, right? So that's talking about revenue. So while few dispute the future in technology, the present is still very much in energy. 5 of the top 10 oil and gas companies, all right? And another state grid is China's biggest utility, right? Which is a state-owned company by the government. 2 of the top 10 are car companies that help generate the demand for fossil fuel, right? It says, of course, revenue is only one metric. That's only one metric what we're using up here, revenue. That's the amount of turnover that they make, right? That's the turnover in billions of dollars that they turn over those top, right? So that's why it says, of course, revenue is only one metric to measure the size of a company. It's useful because it's durable over time and reflects the goal of all the companies, right? All the companies' money, all right? Because that's what it turns over in money. Market capitalization, the value of a company's outstanding shares, may be a better measure of the company's current influence in the world. However, since it measures investors' expectation for companies' future potential, by that score, tech companies are clearly dominant, and only Berkshire Hathaway, that's the one that's owned by Warren Buffett, Warren Buffett's holding company, is on both top 10 lists, all right? So, this is what they consider what these companies are worth now in terms of what they think companies are worth. This is not to do with their turnover, this is their market cap. This is what they think they're valued at if someone was going to buy them. Apple, $851 billion, right? Alphabet, which owns Google, which I showed you, 719. Microsoft, 703. Amazon, 701. Tencent, 496. Berkshire Hathaway, 492 billion. Alibaba, 470 billion. Facebook, 464. JP Morgan Chase, 375. Johnson & Johnson, 344. So, the reasons why these companies are so big, why their market cap and their value is so big, is because they are buying up and swallowing up all of the other smaller companies around the world. Any company that comes out that has any kind of late technology or new science or new software or new marketing company or new banking or finance company or new movie a company that's making movies or whatever and so forth, or a new production company, whatever it's doing, if it's a new manufacturing, the big conglomerates are buying them all up because they are all preparing for the crash of the financial system, because only through that are they going to implement the mark of the beast, which is the RFID chip. Now, there's 2 ways that they will do this. They will use what we call false flags. So they will say a terrorist committed an act in a certain country, so we need to tighten the security, and also the money system now is no longer worth what it used to be, so we have to now change how we manage the whole financial money system, right? The reason why we know that, we can close some of these now. I just want to get some of these out of the way, all right? I didn't see these no more, all right? The reason why we know this is because of this. When you look at the world debt clock, all right? This is what they're saying the governments owe, right? And we've spoke about this before. The United States debt is 21 trillion. That's just the government they're talking about. China 9, Japan 11 trillion, Germany 2, United Kingdom 3.5, India 2.7, France 2.9, Italy 2.8 trillion, Brazil 2 trillion, Canada 1.7 trillion, Argentina 405 billion, Australia 646 billion, Belgium 602 billion, Greece 432 billion, and so forth, as you can see, right? Mexico 786 billion, Korea 7. So these are what they say they owe. This is just the governments, all right? Now, when we look at this here, so I'm going to quickly read this, right? So let's quickly read a little bit of this article. I'll post it up in my comment section so that you can get to it and read the whole of it yourself. I'm only going to read a bit of this, right? It says, debt clock is ticking, all right? So here are a few sayings from a few so-called famous people, right? Benjamin Franklin, I'd rather go to bed without dinner than rise in debt, all right? That was he saying, right? To do with debt. Adam Smith, what can be added to the happiness of a man who is in health, out of debt, who is in health and out of debt and has a clear conscience, right? David Ramsey, there are no shortcuts when it comes to getting out of debt. None. 0 shortcuts. Right? Anonymous, modern slaves are not in chains, they are in debt. And this one probably fits the whole thing. Modern slaves are not in chains, they are in debt. All right? It's as simple as that. So, debt isn't always from a Debt isn't always a form of slavery, but those old sayings didn't come from nowhere. You can find hundreds of quotes on the internet discussing the problems of debt. Debt traps borrowers, lenders, and innocent bystanders too. If debt were a drug, we would demand it to be outlawed because the whole world is hooked on debt and built on credit, right? It says the advantage of debt is it lets you bring the future into the present, right? Buying things that you don't have the money for to buy now, right? That's basically what it's telling you. Buying things you couldn't, oh, let me shut my mouth. Buying things, that's the spirit, boy. Buying things you couldn't afford if you had to pay full price now, all right? That's the spirit. I didn't even know that it was going to say that next. Truly believe when I say that. I didn't even know that, all right? But that's the spirit working with me, right? It says, this can be good or bad, depending on what you buy. Going into debt for education that will raise your income or for factory equipment that will increase your output can be positive. Debt for a tropical vacation, probably not, all right? Listen carefully. And that's our core economic problem. The entire world went into debt for the equivalent of tropical vacations, absolutely. And having now enjoyed them, realize it must pay the bill. The resources to do so do not yet exist. So in the time-honored tradition of lenders everywhere, we extend and pretend. Because this is what people are doing. They're living in what they know as Disneyland. Right? Modern Disneyland in fairy tale land, right? Anyway, but with our ability to pretend almost gone, we're heading to the Great Reset. Absolutely. I tell you, this whole system is gonna be reset. And I tell you, the RFID chip is going to play a major part in the resetting of this whole financial system. And like I said before, they're also going to use what we call false flags, terrorist acts within many countries to, and then they're going to use the stance of increased security. We need to know who's who and whose movements are moving where and who's doing what. They're going to use that as well. That's going to be part of them bringing in this RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast, all right? Trust me when I tell you, they're going to use false flags. Terrorist acts are going to play a major part of that as well, right? It says, I've been analogizing our fate to a train wreck you know is coming, right? Absolutely. This train wreck is coming, right? This mark of the beast is coming, right? But people are just turning their head away, but they don't want to know. They don't want to see what is coming, right? As you know, when people are on a train wreck, what they're going to do, or a plane's crashing, they're all ducking. They say they must duck your head. They say, what they tell you on a plane? Duck your head and put it between your legs, right? And bow and bend your back over and put your head between your legs. Don't look, right? Because they don't want you to see what's coming. It's not because it's going to make it any better for you, right? Because if you're meant to dead, you're going to dead. If you're meant to brock your back, your leg, your bone, you're going to brock it, right? As far as I'm concerned. You might as well look and see what's coming ahead, mate. So the reason why they tell you that on planes and trains and so forth, if they're coming for a crash, because they don't want you to see what's coming, all right? But anyway, let's read what this man's got to say. It says, okay, it says, and that's our core economic problem. The entire world, everybody we're talking about, people, went into debt for the equivalent of tropical vacations, and having not enjoyed them, realize it must pay the bill. The resources to do so do not yet exist. So in the time-honored tradition of lenders everywhere, we extend and pretend. But with our ability to pretend almost gone, we're heading to the Great Reset. I've been analogizing our fate to a train wreck you know is coming, but are powerless to stop. You look away because watching the disaster hurts. Absolutely. But it happens anyway, right? Because it's inevitable that the whole financial monetary system is going to crash and fall flat on its back, right? Anyway, that's where we are, like it or not, right? So that's where we are, like it or not. We're heading towards a train wreck, right? Whether people want to believe it or like it or not, I'm telling you, just like this brother is telling you, we are heading towards a train wreck, right? I forgot who wrote this article. What's his name? John Malden wrote this article on, see it there? June the 8th, 2018. So roughly 6-7 months ago, he wrote this article, all right? Anyway, it says, and so it says there, it says, and we don't even really like to talk about it in polite circles. Of course not. People like to talk like everything's okay. We have no problems. We're not in debt. They just keep on building up more and more and more and more debt that they're not going to be able to pay. And the worst thing about it, the debt that you're building up, the money that you're being given to spend, is created out of thin air. Thin air. Credit card money that you're getting from credit cards is someone loaning your money on credit card with the expectation that you're going to pay them back, right? And then you're going to pay them interest on top of that. Where are those credit card companies getting the money from? From nowhere. They're creating it out of thin air. Anyway, in a private email conversation this week, which must remain anonymous, this pithy line jumped out to me. The total of federal, right? This is American federal debt, right? Remember, they do not use the GAAP, debt, state debt, and city debt. Unfunded liabilities included exceeds $200 trillion. So that's just talking about America, right? So here, they've excluded all of that we're speaking of. That says $21 trillion is the government, because this is the national debt. This is the federal government debt of America. It's saying it's $21 trillion. But what this brother is saying, the true debt of the federal government of the United States, we're just using that as one example, right? Because all of these governments base their national federal debt the same way how America bases it on, all right? So what he's saying that America's true, this is just the federal, not consumer, not the public, not John Doe and Jane Doe and little John and little Jane Doe, right? And Grandma Jane Doe and Grandfather John Doe. He's not talking about the public. It's just talking about the federal government, the United States federal government. They're claiming it's only 21 trillion, right? Coming up to 22 trillion, literally, right? But this brother says here, the total of the federal, right? He says, remember, they do not use the GAAP, right? Which is the debt, the state debt, and the city debt. They don't include that in this federal debt. Unfunded liabilities included exceed $200 trillion. So that's 10 times what the United States is saying its actual federal debt is, its government debt is. There is no set of maths that works to pay this off. None. Zero. Zero. And I've said this before, right? There is no set of maths that works to make this pay off. Let me be sure it's heard by repeating it. There is no set of maths that works to pay this off. Therefore, there has to be some form of remediation. This conversation, right? This conversation is uncomfortable. Of course, people don't want to hear it like that. They put their fingers in their ears. I don't want to hear what you say. I'm going to keep spending the credit. And I tell you, when that system crashes, boy, you're going to see how it's all going to pan out. This conversation is uncomfortable, so it is avoided. Right? Simple as that. It says there, today's letter in chapter 5 in my train crash series. If you're just joining us, here are links to help you catch up, right? So I'll put these links in my comment section so you can get to them yourselves, right? It says, last week we discussed the Italian political crisis and potential Eurozone breakdown. This is a dangerous possibility, but far from the only one, as we'll see today. The world has so much debt that the cracks could happen anywhere. Absolutely, so much debt. So, like I said, this financial crash is going to play a major part of introducing the RFID chip. Because like the scripture tells you, all right? If we go to Revelation 13, it says, 13 and 16. And it says, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand. And that word mark, we tell you before, means charagma, right? Which means stake, something you impale. It means something that you stick inside, all right? I'll show you it. In their right hand or in their foreheads, all right? So it means charagma, right? Sorry. Receive a mark, charagma, a stamp, an imprinted mark, of the mark stamped to the forehead or the right hand as a badge of the followers of the Antichrist, all right? And if you go look at the root word of charagma, a pale or stake, a pale side. A pale side, if you know, when you're building a fence and you're putting those pale sides into the ground, you're making a stake into the ground, right? A pale side or a rampant, that's what it is. Pales between which earth and stones and timbers are heaped and packed together. When you're building a fence and you're making the pales, that's what it is. It's something that's going to be put inside, right? A pail, or a stake, or a pale side, all right? This is what the word charagma means, okay? All right? So, we know it's something that's going to be implemented into you, all right? So then, where are we? It says, and he causes both great, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. All right. So this is why I tell you again why that the crushing of the financial system, the crushing of the US dollar in particular, which is the world reserve currency, is gonna be the greatest reset on the financial institution. And then they're going to have to bring in something to replace this dollar. And what they're going to bring in to replace this dollar is going to be what we consider like a biometric system, which is going to be based on the RFID chip, the mark of the beast. They're no longer going to be using dollar bills or paper money or so forth. It's going to be a digital system, and that digital system is going to be based on the RFID chip that they're going to give people. All right, that's going to have their bank account details in it. It's going to have their money in it. It's going to allow them to travel and move around, because at the same time, they're going to use false flags as well to justify this new system, the RFID chip, the mark of the beast. And those false flags are going to be based on terrorism activities that they're going to allow to happen. And for them to say, for them to tighten up the security, for them to know who is who and so forth and this and that, they're going to need to be identified somehow in everyone's movement. And it's also going to be part of the new medical system. So when someone's got their whole medical records on the RFID chip, they no longer need to, if someone's in a major accident or so forth and this and that, they no longer need to try to find out what medical conditions they have, what pills they're on and might not be on. It will all be inside the RFID chip. All right? They're going to be using it for things like Alzheimer patients. They're going to say, well, Alzheimer patients are people that, as you know, lose their memory and so forth. And what will happen is that if they somehow they're in a home or at home or whatever, and they live there for a short while and they've gone out and they've lost themselves, they can track them down through the RFID chip. Same thing with dementia patients. I say the same thing. If someone's got early signs of dementia and so forth, the easiest way that they can monitor them is by having an RFID chip in them, so that if they were to leave their house unattended, if the carer weren't there or so forth, that they could easily track them down and find where they are. They'll sell it to you as well to say for prisoners in terms of early release. Instead of having to tag them, they chip them, right? Or it'll become part of a sentencing thing. They'll chip them and they'll spend that 6 months or 12 months under home arrest, house arrest, so forth. But by chipping them, they'll know their every movement, because the chip will have a GPS system as well. All right? The chip will have a GPS system in it as well. So it's going to be many things, but the major things are going to be what we know as what they call a false flag. So this is what they call a false flag. False flag. A false flag is a covert operation designed to deceive. The deception creates the appearance of a particular party, group, or nation being responsible for some activity, disguising the actual source of responsibility. The term false flag originally referred to pirate ships that flew flags of countries as a disguise to prevent their victims from fleeing or preparing for battle. All right? So this is what they're going to use. They're going to use false flag terrorist events as well to sell it to you why we need to introduce some sort of monitoring, identification, GPS tracking system, which will be, they're going to say it's going to be unintrusive, right? And it'll include your medical records, it'll include your financial records, and everything for you to have, for you to move about, basically, in that. So you no longer be traveling with passports and so forth. You'll have the RFID chip in you, and you'll use that when you're going through the airport, and through all the information that's in the chip, it'll know it's you for a biometrics DNA system that they're going to have. Trust me, that is the mark of the beast. This is what they're getting ready for, right? This financial system is going to crash. This monetary system is going to crash. There is no way it can survive with the amount of money that they're printing. You already see what's going on in Venezuela, all right? They're using false flags to invade Venezuela by saying this man's a dictator, Maduro's a dictator, he's a murderer, he's a killer, he's starving his people out, he's doing this, he's doing that. When the person and the people that have put the noose around the neck of Venezuela is the United States of America, with all of their sanctions that they put on the country, where they can't trade, they can't buy medical stuff, they can't import food, they're not able to sell their oil to certain countries and so forth and that. And the rest of the European Union, these Edomites that have taken the side of America and have had sanctions on that country, Venezuela, for years. For years. And that's what they do. They put a noose around your neck, and if they strangle you enough, you will hang yourself. And this is what they do. And then they bring you some clean-shaven Edomite, because I'm sure that Juan Guaido is an Edomite, to say this guy can be the new president, can be the new leader. And if you make this guy the new leader, we'll lift all the sanctions and everything will be merry and pie again. No, they want your oil because Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world. This is another false flag, what they're trying to do, to want to invade that country and steal their resources. The same thing they did to Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya. What's the other country that they invaded recently? Syria. All right. This is what they did to destroy these leaders so they can take control. They want to do the same to Iran. They want to do the same to Venezuela. They want to do the same to North Korea. This is American blueprint. This is what they work off of. And they've been doing this for the last 50, 60 years in terms of them invading countries and then calling it some humanitarian thing. But like I said, all of these things that these Edomites are doing is to completely take control of the whole system for the New World Order, for the Illuminati and for the bankers. Because ultimately, the New World Order, the Illuminati and the bankers are the ones that control the purse strings, and the ones that control the puppet strings are the bankers of the world, your financial so-called Jewish bankers who are the heads of the Illuminati, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the JP Morgans, the Oppenheimers, what's the other one again? You've got the Goldman Sachs. All of these different multi-billion, trillion-dollar banking industries are the ones that control the strings. These are the people that want to bring in the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast. And these are the same people that are going to crash the whole financial system, because they're going to make sure that all of these sovereign governments are going to be in so much debt that when they're ready to pull the rug from underneath them, there is no escaping from them. All right? So you go back to Revelation and it says, and he shall cause all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding, right? Because if you've got understanding, you know this is what's going on, right? Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast. For the number of the man and his number is 666, which is 666. And when you look up the word 666 in the Hebrew, come on you. That's Esau messing with me again, boy. Trust me. That's Esau messing with it again. Believe me. And like I said, everything they're doing is to be able to number and track the whole system, to track everybody, to number everybody, to track everybody, right? Because this RFID chip will have a GPS tracking system in it. They need to know your every movement, your every space, where you are, where you're going, where you're moving. Well, it looks like it's shut itself down. Let me go to another one. Bring it up again. Right? This is what they need to know. All right? Revelations 13 and 18. So 666. You go down to it. Chia stigma.
Strong's G 5516. Chi Xi stigma.
Chi stigma.
Chi Xi stigma.
Right, and we go to the root. We look at the meaning of that word there, chi sigma 666. The meaning of which is the basis of much. They say, look, much vain speculation. There's no vain speculation here. We are talking exactly what it is, what this means, and what's about to happen. All right. So then, when you go to where are we? Sorry, it says here an absolute letter 646 is a cross of the Greek alphabet, used as numbers denoting respectively 606 and 666. So when we go to Strong's Concordance 4742, we go to the stigma. Listen carefully. Oh, I told you Esau's messing with, boy. Trust me. Anyway, we look at the meaning of it, right? Stigma. A mark pricked in or branded upon the body. To ancient Oriental usage, slaves and soldiers bore the name or the stamp of their master, because these bankers, right, these financial bankers, the Illuminati, the New World Order, will ultimately become your masters. Once they've got everybody chipped, right, once they've got all the nations using the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast, they will ultimately become your masters, because this is the last part of their plan. They have the wealth, they have the power, but what they don't have is control. And the only way they can get control is by chipping everyone, because by chipping everybody, once all of your financial money, all of your money is inside that chip, your medical records, your travel requirements, your passport, right, your GPS tracking system, they've got total control. They know where you are. They can stop your movement. They can stop you buying or selling, just like it says in the scripture, to buy or to sell, whether you're young, old, rich or poor, free or bond, right? They know your every movement, where you are. They know what your full medical records are about you. Everything they need to know about you and to do to you, they will have total control. That's when they will become your total masters, all right? Right now, these bankers, these Illuminatis, right? These Edomites and the rest of their allies have the power and they have the wealth. The two key things they have. The third part of the puzzle they don't have right now is control. The RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast, is the control that they are seeking. And like I said, they're going to use false flags, right? Just like they got here, they're going to use the false flags as well. A false flag is a covert operation designed, right? Is a military operation that's intended to conceal the identity of or allow plausible denial by the sponsor, which will be your bankers, your Illuminati working alongside the governments, right? It is intended to create a political effect which can have implications in the military, intelligence or law enforcement arenas, affecting either the internal population of a country or individual. This is their whole plan, right? This is what they're looking to do. And part of that is the crashing of the financial system, all right? So, why you're probably getting a microchip implant someday. When Patrick McCullen first heard in early 2017 that thousands of Swedish citizens were unlocking their car doors and turning on coffee machines with a wave of their palm, he wasn't too impressed. Sure, the technology of a millimeter-long microchip equipped with near-field communication capabilities and lodged just under the skin had a niche, cutting-edge appeal, but in practical terms, a fob or a passcode would work just as well. All right? McMullen, a 20-year veteran of the tech industry, wanted to do one better, to find a use for implantable microchips that was genuinely functional, not just abstractly nittified. Right? In July 2017, news cameras watched as more than 50 employees at 3 Square Market, the vending solutions company where McMullen is president, voluntarily received chip implants of their own. Rather than a simple scan to function process like most of Sweden's chips use, the chips and readers around the 3 Square Market River Falls, Wisconsin office were all part of a multi-stage feedback network. For example, your chip could grant you access to your computer, but only if you had already unlocked the front door for you that day. Now, McMullen says, of last summer, I've actually done something that enhances our network security. It says the problem McMullen chips cleverly solved is relatively small scale, but it's still a problem, and any potential new use case represents a significant step forward for a chip evangelist like him. As with most technologies, the tipping point of the implantable chips will come when they become so useful they're hard to refuse, all right? Because like I said, they're going to create an environment for them to become so useful that they're going to be hard to refuse. This is all part of their plan, all right? It says it could happen sooner than you think. In September 2017, 3 Square Market launched an offshoot 3 Square chip that is developing the next generation of commercial microchip implants with a slew of originative health features that could serve as the best argument, yet that microchips' benefits can outweigh our anxieties about them, right? Though new to the American workplace in this implantable form, radio frequency identification, which is RFID technology, has been around for decades and has long been considered secure enough for commonplace use. RFID ear tags are used to register almost all farm and ranch livestock. With the US National Animal Identification System in Australia, the system is mandatory, right? Because that's where it's going to become, because at first it will be voluntary for people, and then it's going to become mandatory for you to be able to take up certain services, for you to be able to get what they call welfare or benefits, right, from the government, social benefits, right, for you to be able to travel abroad, to want to go on those holidays that are clocking up all those debts that people are bringing, like we spoke of earlier, the debts that people are taking up for going on holidays, right? Because now you're going to have to be getting that credit to take that holiday and paying for it through the chip, all right? So this is what they're going to do. And that's when it'll become mandatory within certain industries, that unless you've got that chip, you won't be able to partake in those things. You won't be able to get any credit. You won't be able to get any benefits. You won't be able to travel abroad. You won't be able to, buy certain things from certain places because they're only going to accept the chip. Trust me. It said, if you've checked luggage on a Delta Airlines flight, you can thank RFID luggage tags for the fact that your bag arrived at the same destination you did, and you probably already have a personal RFID chip that goes everywhere with you. It's in your credit card, right? Because we told you that's where it is at the moment, right? It says there, but of course, the fear surrounding RFID implants has little to do with RFID itself and everything to do with implantation. American pets safely receive RFID implants without complication every day. Even so, many of their owners would cite something akin to safety as a reason not to get one of their own. When a company called VeriChip developed its own healthcare orientated microchip implants in the early odds, its research indicated that 90% of Americans were uncomfortable with the technology. The company got FDA approval for its device in 2004, but folded 3 years later because somebody bought up that company. It went into administration. It was bought up by another technology company, just so you know. All right? The company got FDA approval for its device in 2004, but folded 3 years later, in large parts due to studies that suggested a potential link between RFID transponders and cancer in lab animals, right? Because that's another thing, that these RFID chips, right, they are going to be giving people cancer and all sorts of forms of diseases that they're not even going to realize they'll get into later on. It's not going to happen to you straight away. You'll get sick and ill from it probably 10, 15 years later, all right? That's if this thing is around even that long to participate in the society. And then they won't even tie it to the chip. They'll tie it to something else. They say it's something else that causes, just like we see happening today. We see so many people getting cancer today, and we know it's from the GMO foods and the polluted foods that they're giving people from all these different cancerous fertilizers that they're using to grow certain foods, and that's what's killing people. But yet they refuse to tie those cancerous fertilizers and those GMO foods to the death of people through all different cancers that's happening today. It says the risk of cancer caused by RFID have since been found to be virtually non-existent. See, there you go. For humans and negligible for animals. And one 2016 study, just like I said, they will find someone to come with studies to say, oh no, these things won't give you cancer. Even suggesting that embedding active RFID transponders with cancerous tumours could be an effective means of treatment. Listen to the devil. He said, one 2016 study even suggested that embedding active RFID transponders within cancerous tumours could be an effective means of treatment. Boy, Esau's a living devil, boy. A decade later, floating throughout the eruptive hullabaloo around Three Squares chip party were all kinds of fears, some credible, some less so, about the danger of introducing submall radio technology to the American workplace, that companies might make widespread use of the technology mandatory, or that implanted microchips might be hacked or used to track waters, or that the hands might be served in the name of home break-ins. Many critics, including state legislators working to pass bills that would restrict RFID implants, are fearful that the metal components are circuitry in the chips would mean certain death if a wearer were exposed to an MRI machine or defibrillator. Right? It says, then there are broader fears about the use of the chip technology to track humans. Before damning, because that's what they're going to be using, that's another thing they're going to be using it for, to track humans. Before damning research halted Verichip's growth, the company's chairman suggested in 2006 appearance on Fox and Friends that Verichip implants could be used to register migrant workers. Like I said, this is what they're going to do. They're going to start saying that, oh, there are certain parts of society that we can use this, or that it can become mandatory for, and one of them would be migrant workers as well. All right? Migrant workers at the border, and verified their identity in the workplace. That same year, former Colombian President Alvaro Uribe reportedly proposed to the then Senators Arlen Specter and Jeff Sessions that the chips could be implanted into Colombian workers before they entered the United States for seasonal work. Meanwhile, some fundamentalist Christians, right, communities remain convinced, right, that the microchip implant is the manifestation of the biblical portended mark of the beast, which we just spoke about. That's exactly what it is. It is the mark of the beast. But the primary challenge to RFID implants remain the simple underlying question posed over and over again in response to the tech: is this really necessary? So I don't need to read any more of that. I just want to see. So I'm going to pull out a few more scriptures to do with this, right? Because this is what's coming. This is what they're coming at. This is all falling in place for this devil to bring to light. All right? This is all falling in place, let me tell you. So if we go to Daniel chapter 7, I want. Let's say something.
This was a wonderful opportunity.
Check the scriptures here.
And the medical industries at the same time.
We go to Revelation 16 and 2. Revelation 16. Right? But this is what they're preparing, people. This is what they are preparing. Revelation 16. Is it going to come up? If not, I'll just read it straight from my scriptures. I think this thing might be playing up. Revelation chapter 16, verse 2. I'll start with verse 1. And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, right? Because I think this thing is playing up. And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of the Most High upon the earth. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth. And there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, which is your RFID chip, and upon them which worship his image. His image is talking about his philosophy, this society, right? Those that believe in this Edomite Roman reincarnation society that's based on homosexuality, bestiality, that's based on immorality, capitalism, right? Greed, pollution, right? Destruction, right? Murder, pillage and rape. This is what this society is based on, right? Simple as that. So Revelation chapter 14, verse 9. Yeah, verse 9. And the third angel followed them, right? saying with a loud voice, if any man, we start at verse 8, Revelation chapter 14 verse 8, and there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations to drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. The wine of the wrath of her fornication is the image of the beast, which is her philosophies, right? Like I said, those people that believe in homosexuality, that believe in bestiality, that believe in this immoral, corrupt, polluted society. Those that believe in what these Edomites have done, come to the four corners of the world and murdered, pillaged and raped and tortured and stolen, did all these things to build up their kingdom, and they have no repentance for what they did. Zero. All right. So it says, Revelation chapter 14 verse 8, and there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations to drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Same thing what you see going on in Venezuela. All these people that are siding with the United States of America to try to dispose the democratically elected president of Venezuela, President Maduro. All of those nations that are gathered together, that have put sanctions on his country, that have caused that country to reach that humanitarian, that have reached the state of humanitarian where their people are starving. A lot of people are starving. The supermarkets are empty and so forth. They've all come together to do what? To drink the wine of the fornication of who? Of Esau's HQ, Esau's kingdom, Esau's leader, the United States of America. They've all joined in together. England, France, Sweden, Spain, Germany, all of these Edomite nations around the world, Australia, New Zealand, all of them have backed him. And then you've got all these Edomite Spanish rulers and Portuguese rulers in South America. So like in Brazil, you've got the Portuguese, because he's not an indigenous person, that Bavario, right? Brazil, Peru, Spanish, ex-colonial Spanish leaders of Brazil, of Argentina, Peru, all of them backing who? The United States of America. What is the United States of America? It's Babylon the Great. Babylon the Great. So when Revelation 14 and 8 says, and there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen. That is the United States of America. Babylon the Great. It's fallen. That great city, right? Because she made all nations, and that's what they're doing. All this is why they create things like the UN and the United Nations and NATO, right? All nations to drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, of her wickedness that she's perpetrated across the four corners of the world, right? Verse 9. So in Revelation chapter 14, verse 9, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast, right, which is the United States of America, NATO, all of these European nations make up the beast, NATO, and his image, which is his philosophies, like I said, right, and one of his main philosophies is homosexuality, right, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, right, which is the mark of the beast, which is the RFID chip, right, which they're going to put out there, which I spoke about earlier. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone. That's going to be the nuclear missiles that are going to be pitted against each other, because these nations are going to go to war against each other. Russia, China, North Korea, Iran are going to go to war against Israel, America, and all of the other NATO allies, right? Shall be poured out with, and it shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascends up forever and ever. And they have no rest day or night who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. All right? So, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, when he comes to gather the elect of Israel, he's going to bring the final judgment on Babylon the Great, which is America. He's going to bring the final destruction. The destruction is going to start with World War III, because Russia is, which is Gog and Magog, is going to go to war against the United States of America. Okay? And during that war is when our Lord and Savior is going to appear. But prior to World War III, the mark of the beast would have been introduced globally to the whole world system, because the whole financial system would have collapsed and changed. The American dollar would no longer be the world reserve currency. The world reserve currency will be the RFID chip. All financial transactions will be based on the RFID chip, right? It'll have your medical records on it. It will have your passport so you can travel. It will have a GPS tracking in it as well. For everything that you use today will all be embedded into that one microchip. All right, just so you know. All right, so we're going to go to Jeremiah chapter 51. Pull out a couple more scriptures before we leave here. Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 41. Jeremiah, whoa, just gone past it, Jeremiah. Jeremiah 51, we start at verse 41. 41 I want to start at? Yeah. How is Shishak taken? And how is the praise of the whole earth surprised? Because the praise of the whole world is America. Everyone praises America. Oh, this great place, the American dream. America's going to become the United States of America is going to become the American nightmare. All right, you just don't know it yet, but you're going to see. Right? But like I said, before the war happens, you're going to see many things. You're going to see the decimation of the American society. And through that decimation of the society, that's when you're going to see the RFID chip introduced into America. All right? So it says, so in Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 41, how is Shishak taken? And how is the praise of the whole earth surprised? How is Babylon become an astonishment among the nations, as it will? The sea is come up upon Babylon. She is covered with the multitude of the waves thereof. Her cities are a desolation, a dry land, and a wilderness, a land wherein no man dwelleth, neither does any son of man pass thereby. And that will happen when our Lord and Savior totally puts a total destruction on the United States of America. All right? So we go back to Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. Again, just so you understand what it is we're speaking of today. So Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast. For it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. I'm going to give you one more. Revelation chapter 20, verse 4. And I saw the thrones, Revelation chapter 24, verse 4. And I saw the thrones, and they that sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahushua, all right, and for the word of the Most High, and which had not worshipped the beast, right, which is, like I said, his society, everything that Esau believes in and has produced. This whole society, this reincarnation of this Roman, Babylonian, demonic, satanic, homosexual society is Esau's society, all right? For those do not worship the beast, neither his image, right? Which is his society, his philosophies, his beliefs, right? Capitalism, everything to do with what capitalism is just total based on greed. And for them to get what they have in capitalism, they did it through murder, pillage, rape, robbery, right? Simple as that. Those are Esau's 4 tenets, and that's what he did to build up his capitalist society, all right? So it says, and which had not worshipped the beast, and neither his image, neither had received his mark, which is the RFID chip, upon their foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Yahushua Mashiach 1,000 years. So if we stay true to the end, brothers, like it says, some of us will go to prison, some of us are going to be killed, right? They're going to be doing all sorts of things, some of the brothers out there, to try to get them and the people out there, not just the brothers, those, especially those of Israel, the elect of Israel, to get them to accept this mark, this RFID chip. They're going to sell it to you in every kind of fashion. They're going to sell it to you, all right? You've got to stay strong to the end, because if you receive the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast, you are condemned. There is no coming back. Zero coming back, all right? Just so you know that, all right? So on that note, I want to say all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rekah, Kodash, Tuwada, Amen. Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai.